So now we're ready to start building these 4 towers and the roofs that are going to be on them. You can see that I've already got a head start. I've placed one of them just as a series of walls. In my first floor plan view, I was able to use the SketchUp model to come up with the size and the shape of the towers. I need to know how high to make them, and so just quickly I'm going to go into a front elevation, and I don't have any kind of reference or datum that I can connect these to. Let's see, my walls I believe are back in this corner, so you don't see them just yet, but even without those walls in there, I think I can establish how high they need to be just because I've got the SketchUp model. So I'll go to the Architecture tab, create a new level. I'll come up here and just draw that as close as I can to the bottom of the tower roof. I'm at 42 foot 1 and something. Let's make this a nicer number. There's 42 foot 1. There's 42 feet. You know, 42 feet, that's a great number. I think I'll just go with that one. Now, even though I drew this just over a portion of the building, that level or that datum still shows up in any other view. And if I need to, I can even create a new floor plan level called level 10, or I should probably rename it. Let's call this tower walls. I've already got one up here called tower base, so I can't call it anything like that. If I need to, I can extend this all the way across, or at least make it match up with some of the other levels. This one down here, that works. And I suppose it wouldn't hurt to do that for this one too. There we go. Okay, so now I'll go and I'll choose the walls that I had already created. I'm going to hold down Tab to select them all, and then we'll connect them to the proper height, which is tower walls for the top constraint. You can see those got raised up. And then I'm going to do something that is going to make this a little easier on myself. I need 4 of these. I should probably just use this and copy these. But before I copy them, I want to make them into a group. So I'll select one of them, hit Tab. I've got them all selected. I'm going to make a group, and I'll call this Tower. And you can tell that it's been grouped. Every time you try and hover or click on it, it shows that. It displays differently. I'll take that group, and I could just copy it and place them accurately, but because I've got these reference planes through the center of my building, I'm going to use the mirror command. The mirror command is on modify. It's either one of these two. This one lets you pick a line for the axis. I'm going to do that one. And all I need to do, I already had those walls selected or the group selected. I'll click on my axis, shows up on the other side. I'll select both of these. The shortcut for that mirror command was MM, and I'll pick the axis, flips them over to the other side. If you used this tool, then you get to draw an axis. So you kind of have to know where is the center going to be, but you can draw your axis instead of clicking on something. Okay, well, I've got 4 towers. And now I'm ready to do the roof portion of it, which needs to be done as a family. It's going to be really complicated to try to build that inside of one of these groups. You could certainly try that, but I think if you want to do it that way, you do a model in place outside of the group, and then once you have a group, you can always go in and edit it, and you can add and remove things to it. So that may work if you want to try it that way. But while we're here, I'll just show you. I can pull a wall down, finish editing the group, and that same change happens. It'll happen on all 4 of these. So that's really good to know for any details that you want to bring into this group and add windows or any amount of trim. And then I could double click on it again and change this so that it goes back to where it was and accept. And remember, if you do add any detail, you can either come inside here and add it inside this editor, or you can create it outside the editor and then just click on the add button, and it'll let you go pick anything that you want to be part of that group. Okay, I'm done editing it, and whoops. Okay, I got it fixed. Okay, so I want to do my roof as a family, and then I'll import it in here. I need some of the line work or some outline of the geometry to know exactly what I'm going to be drawing inside my family environment. And what I mean by that is I just need to know what shape this roof is. Not by looking at it. I need something I can take from here and put into a family environment. And I think what I want to do is start off with a model in place, because that'll allow me to get the line work that I need. I can either start off as doing a model in place, or I guess another thing I could do is use model lines and just outline this on some reference plane. Either way, the process is about the same, so I think I'm not going to create a model in place. I'm just going to simply set a work plane. And the work plane that I want to set should probably be one of these walls on the front of the tower facing me. So I'll go to Set, Pick a Plane. I'll select that wall. Remember, you can always show if you need to. And that's not helping me, but in 3D it might. It's a different one here, so sometimes I forget. I think this is the right one, so I'm just going to start with this. Let's go to Architecture, Model Line, or LI is the shortcut. And now I'm going to just trace what's already here. Probably don't want to trace these because they're all individual lines. And that's going to be a pain. And I could draw a line right down the center. Wow, that thing is not, that section cut is not the center, so there's the center right there. That was going to throw me off just a little bit. But that black line you see is just part of a section marker, so it's not really helping me. Okay, let's do more modeling lines. I didn't finish here. And I'm going to go down to my reference, or my level for tower walls. And I'll draw a line up. You can see I got things off just slightly. That's not really a big deal. They can be fixed. And then I'll select this one and do CS for Create Similar. And let's add in that curve. Okay, now if I've done this correctly, I should just be able to hover over one line, hit Tab, and it'll select the whole thing. Now in the past you saw me take this, here's a same thing from a 3D view, but in the past you saw me take this line work, copy it, and put it down on some kind of a flat plane. Well, this time I don't need to do that. And that's because I actually want it to remain vertical when I transfer it into a family template or a family environment. So I've got it all selected here, at least I think I do. Let me start over with that selection. Control C for copy. And then we're going to go open up our new family template. And normally I've shown you that I really like to do the generic model face-based. That would probably work. In this case, it would require me to take the line work that I just did and move it to a new host down on the ground. And you can do that if you want to. In this case, I'm just going to use the generic model, just the plain generic model, and I'm going to show you really what the differences are between these two family templates. So generic model, and when you open this, it takes you right into a reference level. Here, I think I've got another one open here that I need to close down so that I don't confuse myself. Okay, it takes you right into the reference level. It may have opened up other views too. The generic model is kind of weird that way. It opens up a 3D view, it opens up the left side, the front side, and the reference level all at once when you open the template. I closed them because I just need the reference level and the front view open. The reason I want the front is so that I can just do a Control V for paste, and there's all my line work. We're looking at it from the front, so this is all standing upright. If I look at it in 3D, you can see it's all standing upright. So we're not doing this one like in the other family template where we built it down on the ground. I want this one to be built standing up. And I'm going to take all my line work, MV for move. Let's move that right in here to the center. Okay. And now I need to do a sweep, but I'm going to need something to help me figure out what the sweep should look like, or what the sweep's path should look like. So we'll go back here, and you can see that I've already drawn some lines. I just traced one of my towers. I did DL. used my red lines, I traced all that, I moved them over here. Unfortunately, you can't use regular lines inside of the family. You can copy regular lines and put them into a profile family, but not a generic model family. So what I need instead is LI for model line, and then I'm just going to pick all of these, and I'm creating model lines to match the detail lines. I selected all the line work by using the tab button, and over here it tells me that I've got the red lines selected. So I'm just going to hit delete. Now I've got all the green lines left over, which are model lines. So I'll hit tab again. That was strange. It didn't pick up the top one here. Okay, now I've got them all. Control C for copy. And then I'll go to the reference level of my family and Control V for paste. I need to select this from the center point, which is probably not going to be possible unless I add some more line work. So LI for line, and then LI again. And now I'll select it all. MV for move. We'll move that right in here to the center. It should just be able to snap to those crosshairs. I won't be needing these lines anymore, so I'll get rid of those. And now in 3D, what I should have is both a shape as well as a path. Now I think I'd like to check this out from the right side. You can tell that it's going to be the right side because my view cube helps me with that. Right side, and let's take this path and maybe just move it to the right. Oh, it won't let me. It's stuck in that plane. I think that's going to be fine. We'll see. We'll see if that causes a problem, but I don't think it's going to matter. Okay, now what we want to do is create a sweep. Create, sweep. Just like always, we can pick a path. This is probably a good example where if you want to experiment sketching a path, go ahead and click on that button, and then you can just draw your lines right over the top of these other ones. Where I already have them, I think I'll just make it easy on myself. Pick a path again. And the reason I don't have to move this shape over there is because I selected this segment as my first line, and remember, that puts the profile plane right here. So anything I draw for a shape is going to go right to that spot. It's going to be on that plane. Okay, I'm finishing out my path, and then I'll accept my path when it's done. I want to draw a shape, so I'll edit the profile. And it's going to make me draw my profile here. So even if I were to just pick lines, I can even do this in 3D. It's going to place the shape back there on my profile plane. I think I didn't get the top here. And there it is. Now if I want to further edit, 3D is probably not the place to do it, so a front view would be better. Okay, and what do I want to do for this? Well, maybe up here at the top, sorry, down here at the bottom, I should hollow this thing out a little bit. So if I make the shape more like that, I'll get an error that says you got constraints. I'll just remove them and make sure this is an enclosed shape like that. And then we'll make sure this is going to work. I'm just going to accept it and see how it looks. And once again, this happened in the last one. I can't create it, so let me go investigate. Okay, I fixed it. It didn't really like that at the very top, if you recall, that shape went right to the center of the whole thing. In other words, this outline lined up with this center reference plane. They don't touch anymore because I simply double-clicked on the shape and I modified it. And up here, I just took these two lines and I just pulled this in. Actually, that's not true. I deleted out the line that was here. I pulled this one over to the right, and then I just started drawing new lines to create the back side of this, the underside of this roof. And you can see what I did. I wanted kind of a steeper angle here, so I turned it into two lines. And I'm thinking 3D print here, right? So there's got to be enough mass up here for it to actually print something. So I could even be more extreme if I needed to. Something like that. Now there's substance throughout this whole thing. And I'll accept the shape, and then I'll accept the model, and you can If you want to, go into 3D and see what you're doing, see what you're working on. I'll accept that. And there it is. It just created the roof for me. I'm going to go ahead and delete these lines out. I don't need those anymore. And it looks pretty cool. Looks interesting. I think there's just a shape on the bottom here. That's why I'm getting extra lines. I don't need those anymore either. That's going to be the roof, actually. Maybe those will be good to have. I'll leave those in there because they may end up being part of the family, and they show me right where this roof is supposed to touch the walls that they sit on. Okay, and at this point we're at a somewhat of a crossroads. We can put the sweep in here, and to do that I would have to take this sweep profile, and then I could load it into the project that I've started creating here, and I could create another sweep, and it would just go down here. In fact, it would go right along those lines. And that's one way of doing things. Or I can load this back into my temple project, and I could load this sweep into the temple project. I think it already has been loaded, actually. And I can use a wall sweeps tool and create it there. So you pick the method that you understand or that you prefer. I think what I'll do is just load this into project, into the family number 3. That's the one that is my new tower roof. Okay, and then in 3D here, I'm just going to create a new sweep, and we'll just pick the path by selecting those lines all over again. Gosh, I hope I'm facing a direction that makes any sense at all. Maybe I'll hit undo. I want to be looking towards the front here, so that's the line that I want to pick. See, I'm using the view cube to help me see when am I looking at it in the front, straight on, and then that puts my profile plane in a location where I can actually make it usable. I'll click on the front view if I need to modify a shape. Okay, I'm going to get my path all set up here, and then I'll accept my path. This time I'm not going to sketch a profile because I want to select it, Cornice Eve 01. It puts it in there. It's somewhat randomly, it fills at times. That's not the direction that this thing should face, so you can try to just flip it or use any of these other tools. You can move it up or down with X and Y. You can give it an angle. I don't need to give it an angle, but you can. And then of course the flip is actually what I needed it to do, so that'll work. And then let's accept that. And there we go. We've got that little cornice piece down underneath the eave. We need to give this a name and load it into our project. So we'll go File, Save as Family. Make sure that I'm in the right class here. Yes, I am. Okay, I'll call this one Tower Roof. And then we'll load that into the temple project. Okay, and then this one does something kind of strange. As I load it, this isn't a face-based family anymore. So it always wants to place it on a reference level. And because the ground level, the first floor is kind of your default reference plane or horizontal level, it pretty much always puts it there to begin with. So that's what it did. It put it down on the main floor, level 1, first floor, and I can change that over here and go up to my tower walls. That puts it at the right height. I'll have to go somewhere else probably to really position this correctly. Let's go up to the roof plan. And this will take a little bit of care and practice to get it right, but that could have been it. You know, it's kind of hard to know what are you looking at, and that's why I'm not sure, but let me just go check. Yeah, that looks like that was right. Okay, so now I'll simply get rid of these. We'll edit the group. We'll add to the group and then finish. And now I've got towers on all 4 sides, and they all have a roof, and that finishes out the video. Remember, anything else you want to do now to these tower walls, go make some new families. You've got some great tools at your disposal, some good understanding. Go make some families or model in place, put them on the tower, put them in the group. They'll show up everywhere. Good luck.